I don't know why I do this to myself. It's all for you guys. I watched another episode of Dynamite. Figured, okay, let's see where they go with this thing. And of course, the follow-up is just about as boring and bland as possible. But let's start from the beginning of the show, of course. So, in case you're wondering, I mean, maybe I should preface it with this. So the big announcement, the show goes off the air last week. And, oh, shit, Kenny Omega, he's going to Impact. He's going to go there. And there's going to be a huge announcement. And what's the announcement? Well, after like 10 straight minutes of just rambling from Don Callis and Omega and them just kind of goofing around and just kind of ribbing each other and just saying a lot of dumb shit, like it just basically devolved into nonsense. And then they said that they were going to have a big announcement for Dynamite, a bait and switch. And then if you watch tonight's show, you'll see they did the same exact thing. They bait and switched again. And then, now on top of that, Omega mocks the fans, who are probably expecting to see something like in ring, not from like inside a trailer. He says, "Oh, I hope you guys weren't expecting me to defend this belt." Well, when they said that he was going to go to Impact, I kind of figured he'd stand in the middle of the ring at least and cut a promo to the fans and, like soak up some of the heat of the cheers or whatever it may be. I thought that that's kind of like what they would go for. I mean, well, I don't know if they have an audience. I don't know what the rules are from state to state. That's Tennessee, so I don't even know if they have a live audience. I didn't watch the rest of Impact. I just watched that clip of the interview. But there was nothing. There was no substance to it. There was no reason to watch that. They really literally told you to go watch Impact so you could see nothing. So you could just see the champ ramble on about absolutely nothing, making references to Superman comics. Like, I was like, huh? Like, are you serious? They have the champ go on another show, and people were talking. There was somebody on Twitter, my friend Burying the Smarts on Instagram posted up, making comparisons with Don Callis being the Bobby the Brain Heenan to Omega's Ric Flair. I mean, they were comparing Kenny Omega to Ric Flair and comparing Don Callis to Bobby the Brain Heenan. I mean, when the Smarks compare people, it's like always guaranteed to be the worst comparisons ever. Right up there with the cringy Lynch and Kevin Owens and John Moxley comparisons. And to Stone Cold, Steve Austin, like, remember those comparisons? A lot of them have died off, since those guys kind of prove that they're nowhere close to being near Steve Austin. But this is the same thing. They don't stop with these bad comparisons. They're still going with them. And every single time they make these comparisons, those people that are getting compared, they always end up falling so short. And it's so poetic because every single time they build these people up, and anyone with any sense knows that those people don't hold a candle to any of the people that they're being compared to. But I guess first you'd have to have some common sense to figure that one out. So we start off with the first match. It's the Young Bucks against Hybrid 2. It's really odd to me looking at Jack Evans, wrestle without the do-rag. But, haven't seen Jack Evans in years. So, I don't know when he grew his hair out and adopted this look. I don't know. But every single time I see a Young Bucks match, there's great athleticism. There's a lot of flips and stuff. I can't take that away from them. But, like, I'm bored watching these matches. There's just too many moves. The people on the receiving end are not selling anything. There's so many different moves. That's the thing. You can't appreciate. You ever hear of too much of a good thing? I've said this in countless WWE rants, so I don't want to hear people saying that I'm being biased because, go check out my Raw review if you need any further proof. But of course, we always have to play this back and forth game of, I said like one more better thing about Raw than I did about Dynamite. Whatever the case may be. The Young Bucks being heralded as one of the greatest tag teams of all time is a complete joke to me. It truly is. I mean, not only have these guys cheapened the super kick, and you can make the argument that many wrestlers have overused the super kick and they've cheapened it by not using it as a finisher and only as a transitional move. But these guys spam the super kick. Remember the super kick party? These guys are known for it. And, they did the super kick again, and it wasn't, a finisher, because it's not their finisher. They used the move as a joke now. It's like a meme. It should be called the meme kick at this point. After Shawn Michaels worked tirelessly for years using that move to put down bigger wrestlers. I mean, we're talking about a move that actually got Sid Vicious down for a pinfall victory at the Royal Rumble. I mean, this is a move that is tremendously over. How many wrestlers has Shawn Michaels finished and won the match with the super kick? Countless legends in retrospect that we look back on. And these guys, they're just using it willy-nilly. I mean, they're a complete joke. I'm sorry to say, but they are. Then we get the Acclaim jumping out, and then SCU jumps in there, and at least they didn't cut a promo this week. They didn't rap, which was a good thing. Then we go on to Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson are getting interviewed in the ring by Tony Schiavone, and then Sting comes out. And of course they had to weasel Cody Rhodes in there. Shivani starts off with Sting, but then Cody grabs the mic. And this is kind of like the Kenny Omega Impact interview. There was nothing here. Like, okay, we already knew Sting was going to be signed. They had already announced this, but here's Sting talking about it again. And I don't know how people felt about this, but when Sting says that there's something very familiar about this place, that's not good, because it feels familiar. After all the, knockoff WCW 2.0, some people view that as a compliment. I don't. I seriously don't view that as a compliment at all, to call this WCW 2.0. You should not strive to be something from 20 years ago. I'm sorry to say, as good as entertaining as many great moments that WCW has had, and don't let the WWE sell them short. There were so many great, fantastic Nitros that surpassed so many Raws. WCW was on fire. There was so many fantastic, great moments. The NWO, you just have so much to enjoy. There was so much great stuff in WCW, but at this point, when it's dead, buried, and gone, and AEW is heralding themselves as the future, having this comparison of Sting coming in there, and Cody's in there, and he's marking out for Sting, and it's just it's a really big time cringe fest. And Cody has to grab the spotlight here. Has to grab the spotlight. Like, not even Darby Allin. Well, thank God he wasn't out there. People are actually excited for Darby Allin Sting interaction. But not even a younger guy like Darby Allin could even be involved. It has to be Cody. He has to have himself out there. As much as he's made fun of Triple H, this guy wants to be Triple H. You could see that this guy is butthurt because, I don't know, maybe Triple H did hold him back, or he might have said to Vince, like, let's not really push this guy. I don't really think it's worth it. He doesn't really have, what his father had, and he doesn't really have what his brother has, and, whatever it was, Cody never got to that next level. But they gave him many opportunities to shine, it's just nothing ever caught on. And the audience didn't really care so much for Cody Rhodes. But when he went to the Indies, he was treated like a god. Because of course, if you say that WWE didn't treat you right, if you sing that to the dirt sheets, if you sing that on shoot interviews, you've got everyone coming out of the woodwork. Oh, they treated him like shit. Oh, this guy's the best ever. How many people have done this? The same old sob story. Look, I'm not saying that Vince McMahon, making everyone abandon their Twitch accounts and all that is a good thing or fair or anything like that. But I am so sick and tired of these wrestlers crying and crying. Cody had no problem for years collecting a paycheck from Vince McMahon. Are we forgetting about Legacy and having WrestleMania matches with Randy Orton? Is that not enough? Having matches with big superstars like the Big Show and stuff, like, that wasn't enough for Cody Rhodes. Like, we seem to forget that Cody was in the spotlight. He was on every single show. They didn't throw him onto Superstars or Main Event. He was always on SmackDown. He was always on Raw. Whatever show he was on at the time, he was always there. So I don't want to hear anyone say this like, oh, they mistreated him. But whatever. That's besides the point. Now he is being the Triple H. But even Triple H didn't make sure he had to run out there the minute a wrestler debuted and all of a sudden start, having to stick a microphone in the guy's face. Like, he was literally being the interviewer with Sting. Like, he nearly just nudged Tony Schiavone out of the ring, and there you go. Like, Cody is the interviewer. Because it wasn't really a promo, it was more of an interview. At this point, it's like, why doesn't Tony Khan just come out there? Everyone who's running the show behind the scenes is basically out there running the show, on the show for us all to see. And it's really pathetic. Like, Cody, he wants to be in the matches. He wants to be in the storylines. He's right there with Sting. And, and I love how, Cody thinks in his mind that the first match that anyone wants to see with Sting and AEW is him and Sting. Like, this guy truly believes that he is a John Cena caliber, Randy Orton caliber star. That's what he thinks. Because that's exactly, he wants that moment. You have Sting saying, I'm not here for you at the moment. But, they're planning it. They want to have that, whatever, next year at, at All Out or something like that. They want to have that. Or Double or Nothing, whatever is their WrestleMania, right? What, isn't it All Out or something like that? Whatever the case may be, they want to make this match be it's going to be something huge. Like, this is going to be the Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18 caliber match. The past meets the future. I'm sorry to say, but Cody is no longer the future. He's already his time has passed. He's gone. He's already failed. He already showed that he's not even good enough really to be a mid-carder. And I'm not just giving him a hard time. No, this guy is just, I'm sick of seeing him at this point. He had a few good moments in WWE, but they overrated him because, he got the smarks and he got the dirt sheets to complain from, oh, he should be doing more with him. Look, Cody Rhodes was never championship material. Not everyone could be a world champion, okay? Roddy Piper wasn't a world champion. Owen Hart was never a world champion. There were many people that never wore the who never wore the world title. There was so many. There was countless. Andre the Giant, he held the belt for a single night, right? That was the truth of the matter. So it doesn't mean anything. Not everyone who's a huge star could be a world champion. It would be impossible to have every good wrestler to hold the world title. And plus it would cheapen it, because that would mean that everyone holds it. And I get that that's kind of the idea nowadays, and maybe that's kind of what AEW will eventually go for. I mean, they haven't had like 1,000 different champions over the years. Like what, right? They only have 3, right? Omega's the 3rd champion. So okay, I mean, so they have a pretty good record with that. But it's only around the corner for Cody Rhodes. Because he's gonna have to crown himself. I know he said he can never get another shot. That match with MJF, but that they're gonna try to find a way to get him back in there. I said that. I said that like last year when they had that match, or it was like the beginning of the year, whenever that match was. I had already called it. But Sting basically says he's gonna be there. And like this just ends. This is just like right here. We don't see Sting anymore. He's gone. He's gone for the night. So if you were planning on seeing Sting, you tuned in to Dynamite because you heard Sting was going to be there last week. Well, you're definitely probably not going to tune back in. I saw that the ratings were better, right? They got like something like 900,000 people this time around, which is a huge improvement. Like 200,000 more people because of Sting. So that was great. That was good for them. I think that was the accurate number. Then you've got Ricky Starks back there, and I don't know what I saw in this guy in NWA, but I don't like him anymore. This whole routine with him, the jacket, I don't know what it was, but it was just way too over the top for me. This guy, the way he's cutting the promos now. I mean, like, the way he was like standing sideways and just, it was brutal. I think he just came off a lot less annoying on NWA Power. Maybe that was the thing. But here I was like, ugh, oh God, like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with this guy. Then we've got FTR defeating the Varsity Blondes, and like, the thing is with FTR, like, I don't see a difference. Like, how is this any different than WWE? Like, I don't know. Everyone's been singing the praises that, like, AEW knows how to use these guys so much better. What has changed? They're still going out there, wrestling a tag match. It's all the same moves. It's the same thing. Like, are they getting better opponents? Are they getting better storylines? No, I don't see a story here. I don't see anything really different. So, besides them going to a different company, there's not a big change here from show to show. I know I haven't watched all the shows, but maybe you guys could tell me in the comments what has really changed for FTR since they've moved from WWE to AEW. Because I got to tell you, it wasn't very visible here. It wasn't, okay, the Varsity Blondes, should I say something about them? Okay, Brian Pillman Jr., Brian Pillman's son, that's interesting, but like, I just got a feeling that once again, this is going to be another, like, can we just like be honest here for a moment? Which wrestler now that's like second generation has really done anything? You know what I mean? Like, okay, Cody Rhodes, this guy is nowhere even close to his father. Ted DiBiase Jr., that was another guy, like, there was nothing really there. He didn't exemplify any sort of charisma that his father had. There's just been a lot of disappointments. You had Terry Gordy's son, remember? Jesse, remember with Jesse and Festus in WWE? Just, there's a lot of different, like, children from, and sons and daughters from different wrestlers, and they go nowhere fast. Like, okay, like Jimmy Snuka. Before all the controversy with him with Tamina, did they do anything with her? Like, all these kids, just because you are a second generation wrestler, it doesn't mean that you will have success. Like, you have The Rock, you have Randy Orton, And there's not really a whole lot of other examples besides like the Samoans. Everyone descended from like the wild Samoans, and everyone, you know, in the Rock's family with all those guys. Like that's about it. You know, you don't really have a lot of successful second generation stars, not as much as you used to. Like they're just not there. Every single time they trot one of these guys out, it just ends up being a massive disappointment. They try to like do things that's like sort of like their father, and it just ends up just being a complete disaster. So I'm kind of seeing the same future here. Like there's nothing that I saw here in the ring from Brian Pillman Jr. And I get it that he's young, and that like he only started really like a few years ago, I think. I don't. I only started hearing about him recently, but like I don't see anything like his dad. Just the facial expressions, the promos. I was just watching him not too long ago on the network with the Goldust and Terry stuff. The guy was brilliant. You know, really, that's putting a lot of pressure on the son. That's not really fair to him that he could be as great as his dad, but like it's always there, and that's always been a problem in music and, you know, in acting. We all expect the sons and daughters of huge stars to, you know, carry on the legacy, and it's very, very rare that they do. Just being quite honest there. Then we've got Dustin Rhodes defeating number 10. Yeah, that's his name. Okay, so this is the Dark Order, and the Dark Order is still going on. Last we talked about the Dark Order here in these reviews. We had some really shitty punches being thrown, and like all we're getting now is just like these guys standing up on the stage. Like, who are they? Like, okay, oh, you know, Brad, they have names. I get it, but who are they? Like, these guys, they look like the blandest guys I've ever seen. And this Evil Uno guy coming out there, it's just super cheesy. Just like who would even want to join this group? You know, he gets offered a slot to be 7, to be number 7. Ooh, get it? Because he was 7 in WCW. Oh, more WCW references. References from 20 years ago. Yeah, great stuff, guys. Fantastic. Even older than 20 years ago. That was 1999, right, guys? So we're talking about 21 years ago. We are doing a random reference like that. You know, and you guys are the future. Yeah, okay. So, you know, he goes to like shake his hand, but then he slaps him in the face, and he tells everybody to hold off. He says, you know, don't attack Dustin. You know, let him decide. You know, he's going to see what I'm talking about very soon. Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. I am so on the edge of my seat. I'm probably going to fall off, guys. I don't care. Anyway, what do we got next here? So Shaq is doing a sit-down interview. You've got Shaq with and Brandy there. Like, oh my God. Like, you got your hands on Shaquille O'Neal, this NBA legend. You know, at least they let him go out in the ring, you know, and go face-to-face with the Big Show. You know, on WWE when he was on Raw. But like here, they put him in the same room with Brandy because he knows this other girl, what's her name, Jay Cargill. And, you know, she broke Brandy's arm. Shaq makes a crack to Brandy about her arm. He says, you know, take some notes. He says, well, your arm's in that sling. And she like threw some like shake at him, and it goes all over Shaq, and Shaq is just kind of like calmly sitting there. Meanwhile, we're listening to the cringy Valley Girl voice of Brandy, and this girl, like, I just gotta tell you something. I just cannot stand Cody Rhodes and Brandy. Like, these have to be the two just most detestable individuals. And it's not like they've done anything wrong in life or anything, but like, this is just two very annoying people. And I gotta just say, I gotta say, I'm happy for them. They deserve each other. I mean, if you could find two people that are more annoying, come tell me in the comments, because as far as I'm concerned, these are two that just, they have such a big ego, and they have no right to have that ego, because first of all, at least, okay, Cody has a bit of talent, right? He's not a bad wrestler. He's not a bad talker. He's just not as great as he thinks he is. Nowhere close to where he thinks he is in his mind. Now, Brandy, there's nothing there. I mean, this is a girl that basically was hired as the ring announcer and wasn't even really a good one. She dated Cody Rhodes. She was at the right place at the right time. She had nothing. Now all of a sudden, she has in-ring aspirations. I mean, it's not bad enough that you have to have Cody Rhodes inserting himself into main event feuds, and he's got to be right there for Sting. Oh, I got to be right there because I'm going to be the next Sting, pretty much. That's not bad enough. We also have to have Brandy Rhodes, who brings nothing to the table as far as in-ring ability, promo skills. There is nothing there. She's just annoying. That's all she is. She's just annoying, and she's there because she's with Cody, and I get it, but like at some point, Tony Khan, who's the president here, and not just a executive vice president, he's got to, if the guy had any backbone, and of course he doesn't, he would say to Cody, look, I understand this is your wife and everything, but we can't have her on the show because she's just a total cringe fest. But of course, Tony's just happy to be there. Just imagine that, a guy who runs a company that's just happy to be there, but he is. That's old Tony Khan for you, the guy marking out because he gets the esteemed pleasure of hanging out with wrestlers that are not even that big of stars, that have big stardom in their minds, but they, like, seriously, I am looking at the roster tonight, and I'm just seeing a lot of guys that just never got anywhere. Jack Evans, Cody Rhodes, just everybody I'm looking at here, like the Young Bucks. These are just all like people that Dave Meltzer likes and have been dirt sheet favorites. That's all I'm seeing when I look at this. Then we got Inner Circle. Here's like a big promo here, a big like 15-minute promo. And, I'll give it to him. Jericho's trying to hold it together. But, guys, I do not see what everyone sees in MJF. There I go, saying it again. I do not see with what everyone sees in MJF. Like, I gotta tell you something. This guy, like, there's nothing there. Like, he's just an arrogant prick character, but there's nothing really special about him that set him apart from any other arrogant prick character out there. Like I said, people were comparing him to The Miz, and they were saying that he does a better job at being The Miz than The Miz does, and it's like some crazy shit like that. But the God's honest truth is The Miz is 10 times, 20 times, 30 times better than this guy. I mean, this is another guy that he thinks he's the ultimate heel. He's like an idiot in real life. He gives middle fingers to like 3-year-olds who ask for his autograph because, he's in character. He's so dedicated to the kayfabe. Like, I love how these guys really think that they know the business so well, and they just end up looking like complete tools. Like, this is a roster full of tools. It truly, truly is. And, like, the whole thing with the towel and everything, like, why is he even in the group here? Like, they don't even like him, but he's a good asset. Like, it makes no sense here. And then you've got Jack Swagger. I don't like the way he's staring at me, talking about Wardlow. And Wardlow's like, you're staring at me. And Jericho says, let's not stare at each other. He's like, I can stop staring. Like, huh? Like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, grown men arguing over each other, staring at one another? Is this what this has come to? This is your main event level faction? Bad acting from Sammy Guevara, Guevara. How do you say his name again? Guevara. We'll go with that. I just cannot believe that so many people online put these guys over. This is the faction to end all factions. I mean, this is a faction that is just a complete disaster. This ensemble of guys is just like, it's so totally random. They have like nothing in common with each other. Like they're just like, it's like I really got to tell you something. I look at this and I look at Retribution, and I know a lot of people will flame me for this. I don't see which one is better, to tell you the truth, because they're both just cheesy. They're both lame. They're just both like, there's nothing here. Like, here's a bunch of guys hanging around Chris Jericho who are nowhere near Chris Jericho's level as far as charisma, as far as the look. I mean, Warlow looks tough. I've always been a bit of a fan of swagger and everything. But, like, Tito, I was going to say Tito Ortiz. No, Ortiz and Santana. These guys, I don't see like anything in them. I don't see anything in MJF. The Sammy Guevara thing, I think that's how it said, Guevara, right? Not Guevara. Anyway, whatever it said, Sammy is, I said this, he was there from the opening match with Cody Rhodes when the first episode of Dynamite kicked off. And I said right away, why do they think so highly of this guy? They put him in the opening match. There's nothing there. I'm saying, here's a guy where he's just a skinny little nothing. There's nothing, comparisons to a young Eddie Guerrero, which those comparisons, I am sure that it tore JR up inside having to even make comparisons like that. That was beyond a reach. I mean, that was like reaching for like something that's like 500 million miles away. I mean, that was like reaching for the moon, reaching for the stars. You're reaching, but in your mind that you're not going to be able to touch it, but you go for it anyway, just hoping that someone would believe it. That is what that is. And it really did not go over well. So, there's arguments, and like, I'm just saying to myself, like, just get the hell out of here. And then there's tension with the handshaking, They're telling Sammy shake MJF's hand, and like, I'm feeling no tension at all. I'm just like, can you just shake his hand so you can end this already? Like, then we've got Eddie Kingston, the Butcher and the Blade defeating Vance Archer and the Lucha Bros. And one of the Lucha Bros, he gets taken out of the match early, gets injured, and so it's like left as a handicap match. And I actually like Vance Archer. I'm like really surprised that it didn't work out for him in WWE. Like, this guy has a tremendous look. The haircut is tremendously stupid. I don't understand why he did that. But this guy has always had promise since TNA. Ever since seeing this big guy do a moonsault when he was hanging out with Kid Cash, I always thought this guy like, oh yeah, this guy has a future here, but I don't know, here he is in AEW years later, years after the fact, like, after 18 years ago, seeing him on TNA and seeing him here, like, this is the furthest he came. Like, this is the progress of 18 years. Not too good at all. I mean, just I would have expected more. But whatever, he's on a national television show, so whatever works for him, I suppose. This Eddie Kingston guy, he was in NWA Power, and I didn't think of him much when he was there, and I still don't. First of all, to me, this guy is like the Kevin Owens of AEW. He's fat, he's out of shape, and people praise him for his promos. Where have we heard that before? Kevin Owens, right? Yeah, comparisons to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes. Go online, look at it. People have made the comparison. Just stop comparing everyone to Stone Cold. Pretty soon, every wrestler is going to have been compared to Stone Cold. Anyone who was like a brawler or showed any bit of attitude, they're comparing to Stone Cold. Okay, a bunch of girls are brawling in the back. Vicky Guerrero was there. I couldn't care less. Like, okay, one of the girls was the one that Shaq and Brandy were arguing over, Jade. Then we have Abaddon, who's like complete ripoff. Like, first of all, like, you've got Thunder Rosa with the face paint. And here's another girl with creepy face paint. So we're gonna have two girls like this. Not only that, but this is Rosemary from TNA. And this, not only that, but this girl's got like a flabby belly, like okay, like she'd be scary. The face paint is good. It looks good. I'm not gonna knock it. The entrance crawling to the ring, the blood spilling. It looks cool, right? A little bit of Gangrel, a little bit of that, but Rosemary does it better in TNA. And obviously, this is a little bit of the Fiend from WWE, but the girl's like stomach is flat. She's got that like ugly tattoo over her stomach too. Just looks awful. Very distracting. So she beats Tessa Price, and then you've got Sheeda running out. And so she didn't cut a bad promo this week. Instead, this week she hit her with, I think it was a kendo stick, and then she does the Undertaker sit up. More derivative. I mean, you couldn't be any more derivative with this character. Like, it's a combination of the Fiend, Rosemary, and Undertaker now, with this complete with the sit up. Some people could call it an homage. I just say that it's like an unoriginal character, and I would say tighten up the stomach. I mean, I'm just being perfectly honest here. Then we get more aimless babbling from Kenny Omega, where the guy basically says nothing. Just says, he caught everybody hook, line, and sinker, uses 1,000 cliches, and Don Callis is there, and to me, this is like the poor man's Paul Heyman, Don Callis. Don Callis was entertaining as Cyrus the Virus in ECW. The brief stints that he had in WWE were entertaining us and being this mastermind character. He's good at what he does, but after seeing Paul Heyman, he's really like being the Paul Heyman guy here, like being the mouthpiece, but then they're also not, but the thing is, like, usually when you're the mouthpiece, the other guy doesn't talk, but now they're like both talking. So then, like, why does he need Don Callis if he's there to talk for him? I don't get really the point. Usually the point of the manager would be the talk for the other wrestler, who you're managing. But instead, they're both babbling on. There's nothing here to be said. I don't know where they're going with this. It's just a big talk fest. There's nothing being said. It's just, I fooled the fans and everything, and I'm a bad guy now. You thought I was a good guy, but I'm a bad guy, and you didn't expect that. And Tony Schiavone says that he's been in wrestling since 1983, and he's never seen something more disgusting. Really? All those years in wrestling, and you can't think of a single thing? A single thing, really. Like, what is that? That's 37 years in the professional wrestling business? 37 years. All that time in WCW, and you can't think of a single thing that was a more disgusting heel act. The NWO, maybe? Hulk Hogan? I mean, okay, I get it, we're trying to put this thing over, but, let's be realistic here. Who gives a shit? Honestly, this is the most overrated thing I've ever seen. We're trying to really make, this Omega hitting John Moxley with the microphone is not that controversial. It wasn't even that great of a heel turn. It was, just very, transitional, okay type of stuff. Anyway, we'll move on to the end. We've got MJF and defeating Orange Cassidy to win the Dynamite Diamond, which I don't know what purpose that serves. It's a diamond, it's a ring, it's a thing, Then we've got Siobhani talking about alpha males as the best friends are up on the ring apron. Really? Alpha males? So anyway, Miro comes in. He's wearing this goofball shirt with cheetah print, some type of, designer sweater. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy looks he looks dreadful. Like, this is the big wrestler that Tony Khan is saying, like, there was WWE, like, at least this guy, did, despite what Tony Khan says, come out in a tank. At least this guy got to wrestle Cena. At least he got to wrestle Orton. At least he actually got to look like a wrestler. Instead, he's got this blonde hair and this designer shirt. He looks like a complete goofball. He looks like not only a complete goofball, but he looks like a fucking goofball. He looks like a goofball to the umpteenth power. He looks like a Mama Luke. I mean, he seriously does. He looks like a big-time, big-league Mama Luke, if I ever did see one, folks. I mean, you want to see what a Mama Luke looks like, go look up the video of Miro interfering in this match. And then he's got Kip Sabian with him, this other goofball with hands in the pockets. Everyone, Orange Cassie, hand in pockets. Meanwhile, there are more ripoffs. Eddie Guerrero, they're doing this thing like trading off, throwing the bat to each other. Like this is just like Eddie Guerrero stuff. They're completely unoriginal. It's all derivative. And then you got this guy coming out in the goofy shirt. And then the night ends. Like, after watching a show like this, can I ask a question? Who in their right mind would tune back in? So I'm going to tell you something right here, folks. I have decided that I will review, I don't think I'm going to be watching Raw. I think SmackDown reviews are in my future, because I don't want to take up too much of my time, because I still want to do gaming videos. I still got Mandalorian reviews. I still got to review the Mandalorian episode that came out today, and I got to review the Mandalorian episode that came out last week. So I've got a lot on my plate here to catch up with, because I've been without a computer for 2 weeks. So I've got a lot of stuff to do here. Dynamite reviews, unless something big happens with Sting, from this week to the next, then I guess maybe I'll talk about it. I don't know if I could sit through the whole show just to talk about 20 minutes, but I'll definitely talk about the segment if it was something worthwhile. So yeah, there you go, folks. There's a review. Horrible show from top to bottom. Complete disaster. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And guys, I'll see you next time.